I don't think I am a very funny woman. I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to be an actress was because it gave me a chance to play people infinitely more interesting than I am and say things that are infinitely more witty and entertaining than anything I could think of myself.
He's absolutely divine, Basil. Go on, have a bit.
It is good, isn't it?
Oh, listen to him. The only place I've ever really seen him eat is your restaurant, Andre. Now he's stuffing it away like a hamster.
Really, Sybil?
We're going to have to buy him a great big wheel to run around in when he's got a motor toy.
Mrs. Neal? Yes? It's your mother. Mother?
Yes, love. There's something called a guava on the menu. Now, I want you to try it for me and see if I like it.
She's sort of dotty, in a very amusing way and a very likeable way as well.
It's your turn to make the dessert, Chauncey.
I'll do that one.
Do you think we could have a preview? Then we can warm our stomachs.
Rhubarb crumble?
Will the crumble crumble, or will you be serving it with a road drill?
She can be very funny, she can be very touching. But she has a wide range of acting, but I think if she said she's not funny, I'm afraid she's very, very wrong there.
I remember watching her with Richard Briers, has always been one of my favourites too, in Marriage Lines.
Mum, I must go. I think my pie's done. All right.
And I just remember enjoying their combination, the way they played off each other very much.
We can't eat that.
Yes, of course we can. I'll cut off the burnt bit. It's all right underneath. You know you like my pies.
But it isn't a pie if it hasn't got a top, it's a stew.
I think the thing that possibly she would object to is being called a comic actress, because that means that you never get offered any Shakespeare.
Timothy and I sometimes stopped in the street, and people say to Tim, "Thank you for all the pleasure you've given us in all your Shakespeare, in all your classical parts." And then they turn to me and they say, "Of course, we've seen you too, but you do more the comedy, don't you?"
Prue will probably tell you that it's to do with her looks. And certainly at one time, I don't think it's as true now, but at one time when she was younger, you weren't allowed to play Ibsen or Chekhov unless you looked very thin and soulful. And she's got a slightly round face, and she tends to look quite jolly. I went into the theatre in the 50s, and I think because I had a round, fat face and, you know, was quite small and not very glamorous, I was labelled a character actress.
My friend Sam Mins asked me who you were. And well he might. You're going down Chapel Street with a hump added to nature behind you.
Father!
And I say it's immodest.
It's not immodest, Father. It's the fashion to wear bustles.
Done the hell with the fashion.
Father! You're not in Moonrakers now.
I played a lot of working class parts because I was quite good at dialect. This was in the sort of late 50s. And in fact, the first volume of my autobiography is going to be called Familiar Trays, because I played lots of maids from various regions.
I did a television play for the Beeb, mid-60s. And I can't remember the name of the play, because it was a long time ago. Very long time ago. And there was a girl in it playing a very vivacious barmaid.
And we had a little scene in the bar, and the day the camera crew came in, they laughed.
And Richard Waring was a great friend of mine and a writer, had decided to write this thing about two young people and the marriage and all the problems of married life. And we were looking for a TV wife. And
I auditioned, and they said, well, yes, go away, do something about your hair. And I got it.
And that's how we got together, that first married couple in black and white TV.
Oh, hello, darling. I'm sorry to be late, only I suddenly decided that I'd get you something really special for supper tonight. You deserve it, working so hard all day. Well, now, what about this? Chicken, broccoli, it's terribly expensive, but I'm so tired of cabbage and beans. New potatoes, and look.
What's that?
Kangaroo tail soup.
There's so much energy, and the two of them both speak extremely quickly. And there's this kind of almost electric flashing. It was all sort of, hello, darling, kind of very, very fast and frenetic.
I won't argue any more, George, I promise I won't, and I won't stop you enjoying yourself. It's just that I'd rather not share you with a lot of other people, but if you want to go...
Darling, I want children too.
And if ever you think I'm being unfair... What did you say?
It's wonderful that that she and Richard Briers worked so beautifully together in a very subtle kind of humour and a very charming kind of humour that you don't see much on television nowadays.
To be involved in a popular television sitcom early on in your acting life is a great piece of good fortune, because it means that the general public, well, theatrically anyway, the general public will take the giant step from the pavement into the building to see you in the theatre.
I think, being a very serious actress, she was worried that doing sitcom she might have to do it continuously, like a soap opera, in which case you're stuck for years and years playing the same character. You can't move out of it, you get typecast. And she was very, being very young, we were both very keen on having a wider career, but of course we had to make money. But you have to, when you're young, try and get an income because you're bringing up a family.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to get used to that.
Well, does it go on for long?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, oughtn't we to get somebody to do something?
Yes, you better give her to me.
What? Lift her?
Well, she's not going to climb out by herself.
I was busy getting married myself and having my own first baby. I did the last marriage lines in 1964 when my eldest child was about 1. I kept working in the theatre, in a little bit in films and radio, and also in various bits and bobs of television. There was 10, 12 years between Marriage Lines and Fawlty Towers.
I thought she was very sweet as Kate in the Marriage Lines. I thought she had a lovely quality, bubbly quality. She'll be remembered, I'm sure, for Sybil Fawlty, because it's the biggest hit she's ever had. She makes me laugh. I've seen it each one of those 12 times, like we all have. And she's just hilarious.
Goodbye, thank you so much. Hello, Fawlty Towers.
The first thing that I saw in was Fawlty Towers, and I just thought that she was extraordinary in that, incredibly sexy and fantastic. I loved that voice that she had as Sybil.
I know. Well, it all started with that electrician, didn't it? Real live wire he was. Only 1 watt, but plenty of volts, as they say.
It was based on a person I met when I was 7, who ran a hotel in the little village I was evacuated to. And it's dreadful to talk about her now because she was immensely kind to our family. But she did have a special way with the guests. You know, she talked to her husband in one way, and then when she came to guests, she said, "Do you find that tasty? Is that to your liking?"
Coffee for you, Doctor.
Thank you.
And for you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Have you been to Torquay before?
Well, not for a few years, no. We had a free weekend and we suddenly thought we'd like to get out of London.
Lovely. White or black?
Black, thank you.
And black for you, Doctor?
Thank you. Cognac for you, Doctor. It's rather fascinating you're both being doctors. Porter for you, Doctor. Because at one stage I was contemplating becoming a surgeon.
A tree surgeon.
I will tell you something I never said before, which is that at the first read-through, Prue did not play the character as Connie and I had expected her to play it. In a sense, as we'd written it in our minds, because as you know, when you're writing, it's not just words on the page, you hear it. And I remember Connie and I travelling home after rehearsal and saying to each other, "What do you think? Is this..." Which just shows how wrong it can be, because, of course, what she did was actually better than what we had in our minds.
My mother, on the other hand, is a little bit of a trial, really. You know, it's all right when they have the life force, but Mother, well, she's got more of the death force, really. She's a worrier.
No, it's all right. I'll hold.
She has these, well, morbid fears they are, really. Vans is one. Rats, doorknobs, birds, heights, open spaces, confined spaces. It's very difficult getting the space right for her, really, you know. Footballs, bicycles, cows. And she's always on about men following her. I don't know what she thinks they're going to do to her. Vomit on her, Basil says.
Even with hindsight, that her performance as Sybil is classic stuff. Perfect, really.
You still hear people who've possibly not even seen Fawlty Towers, but actually echoing the dreadful laugh. Certain of the intonations or the "I know."
Oh, I know. Oh, I know.
There's the classic one that everybody will quote at you, is where she's sitting in bed eating chocolates on the telephone. I know.
I know you have. I know. I know. Oh, I know.
Are you going to go like that all night?
What was that, Audrey? Oh, I know.
I felt that what worked best in Fawlty Towers, what was the core of it, was the relationship between Sybil and Basil. And the key to this is that Basil is terrified of Sybil.
No, look, Sybil, I was reaching round for the switch.
Don't bother.
And look, the lights weren't working in the bathroom, right? Okay, so I went in, checked the fitting, which was loose.
I've read about it, Basil. The male menopause, it's called. Oh, and one word of advice. If you're going to grope a girl, have the gallantry to stay in the room with her while you're doing it.
And if Basil's awful behaviour was just gratuitous, and very few people understood this, it was nothing like as funny as when you could see that it was coming out of this terror of what would happen if Sybil found something out.
I am going to make you regret this for the rest of your life, Basil.
Well, fair enough, I suppose, but I think Stubbs is partly...
Basil!
Basil couldn't be Basil without Sybil.
Don't you dare give me any more of those pathetic lies!
Oh, right.
What did you take me for? Did you really think that I would believe that this shambles is the work of professional builders? I mean, people who do it for a living.
No, not really, no.
Why did I trust you, Basil? Why did I let you make the arrangements? I could have seen what was going to happen. Why did I do it?
Well, we all make mistakes, dear.
Sybil Fawlty was a feed for Basil. I mean, that is the function, comedic function of that woman in the thing. And fine, I'm very happy to play that, and try to do it as well as possible.
You seem very jolly, Basil. You seem very jolly.
Jolly?
Yes, jolly, sort of happy.
Oh, happy, yes, I remember that. No, not that I noticed, dear, no.
Up until around that time, you see, most television comedy was done centred around comics, as opposed to the actor. The comic would be surrounded by actors. And she always said, if I wrote my autobiography, I shall entitle it Ears I Have Fed.
On Tuesday at the weigh-in, you clocked 15 stone 2.5 with nothing on, and on Wednesday you were 15 stone 3 with your socks on. And as you're supposed to lose 5 pounds a day on that diet, it means that the socks would have to weigh 5.5 pounds.
What, each?
No, the pair.
Oh. Well, if we're talking about those blue ones that were knitted by your Auntie Florrie, you could be right.
What did very shortly begin to worry me was the fact that you weren't allowed to be funny and female in British comedy unless you were post-menopausal or so eccentric as not to be a sexual threat.
Sex, 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 sex. The much vaunted, all-powerful, omnipotent orgasm. I mean, the old complaint of too little, too late is a thing of the past, Piers. I mean, how many do you have? How big are they? How long? How noisy? How often?
My trouble stems from your inadequacy as a lover. It's embarrassing. You must have learnt your technique from a Christmas cracker. Rejuvenation pills have no effect on you.
I never take pills.
You take them all the time during our love-making. The deafening sound of your chewing is the reason for my never having an orgasm.
How dare you say that? Your book on the climax of the female is largely autobiographical, or have you been masquerading as a sexually responsive woman?
My vaginal spasms have been bogus for some time.
In American comedy, you can be pretty and dumb and funny, or clever and ugly and funny. And in French comedy, you can be pretty and clever and female and funny. But in England, you, until very recently, as I say, you weren't allowed to be a funny woman. That's been corrected over the last 10 or 15 years, thank God. And thanks also to Emma Thompson and Victoria Wood and Saunders and French and Joanna Lumley and various wonderful, clever, beautiful young female comedians who've put it right.
Dr. McMurdo, you are an expert in psychosexual matters?